Hello guys, so today we will be doing another question. We already did this question in one of the videos, three sum, and today we are going to do this question, three sum closest. So this is a pretty similar question, and so the question is given an array nums of n integers and an integer target. Find three integers and nums such that the sum is closest to the target. Return the sum of the three integers. You may assume that each input would have exactly one solution. That is, there would be only one integer that would be closest to the sum. And yeah, today I will do this in Golang. So yeah. And so what do we have to do here? So first of all, again we can see that the input is of the order 10 to the power 3. So at most we need n square computations. And in the previous question that we did, it was three sum, and in case of three sum there was the second approach that we followed was that we fixed the very first element, and after that we iterated over the two elements using left pointer and right pointer. So if this is the array, so we fixed this element, let's say I, and L and R would be our pointers. L would be just I plus 1 initially, and R would be n minus 1, where n is the length of the array. And we would iterate from left to right with this pointer L, and from right to left with this pointer R. So this is how we will iterate, and we have already fixed I. And note that array is sorted. So array is sorted, and we have fixed an index I and L, and we are iterating over L and R. And then we are checking that in the previous question what we had to do was that sum was actually equal to 0. So we had a plus b plus c, and we just had to tell about all the pairs that were possible, so all the unique pairs. And this question is similar, so instead of sum equals 0 we have a defined sum, and it is called as target. So we have a defined sum already, and what we can do is we can fix a, that is the ith index, and then we can iterate over L and R. So we can iterate over the rest of the array using two pointers L and R. So L is initially I plus 1 and R is equal to n minus 1, and we just iterate from left to right using L and from right to left using R. And what would be the condition? So if sum at any point would be equal to AI plus AL plus AR. So if this sum is equal to target, then we have already found the target, and this can be the closest that we can get, and we will return the answer. But if it is not the case, then AI plus AL plus AR, I'm calling it sum now. So if sum is greater than target, we need to reduce something from this sum. And since we know that the array is sorted, which I discussed in the previous question also, since the array is sorted, we need to subtract something from this sum to decrease it. And by subtract, we can only do it if instead of adding r index, we add r minus 1th index, because we know that this is increasing, so this is decreasing. To decrease the sum, we need to add something that is less than the rth index. So instead of adding the rth index, we will add r minus 1 index. So we will just decrease r and check for that. And similarly, if the sum is less than target, we know that we need to increase the sum, and for that we will add the L plus 1th index now. So this is the same question as before, just instead of target as 0, we have target, we can have any target. So in the previous question we can say that the target was 0, but here the target is like any integer. So yeah, let's try to implement this question. So first of all, we need to sort the array, and I think it's sort. So sort dot ends would sort the whole array of integers. So now the array is sorted, and after this what we can do is we can iterate over everything. So for index comma value in range nums, so yeah, so current value is v and index is I. So L comma R is equal to I plus 1 comma n minus 1. And what is n? It is actually equal to length of nums, and then we can simply iterate over this. So for L less than R, so while this is less than R, then do this. Sum at any point would be equal to V plus nums L plus nums R, and if sum is equal to target, then return sum, because sum is already equal to target. So what do we have to return? We actually have to return that sum that is closest to the target. Else if sum is less than target, then decrease R, we need to add something which is smaller than the current value, and we can only do that if we decrease R. So yeah, and else increase L, but we also need to store the answer. So if sum is, so currently if we have this sum, so we also need to do some checking, like if the sum, so if absolute of sum minus target is less than difference, then difference is equal to sum, difference is equal to absolute sum minus target, and answer is equal to sum. So let's define answer initially would be equal to nums 0 plus nums 1 plus nums 2, or better to write like this for I. Answer plus equals nums I. Yeah, and what would be difference? Difference would be equal to initially absolute of target minus answer, that is the current answer, that is the current sum, into consideration. So we sorted the array, we took n as the length, answer is the initial answer, difference is the initial difference, and now what we are doing is we are just doing this algorithm that we are iterating over all possible i's and then checking for all else and r's. And this is the two pointer method. L is going towards right, R is coming towards left, and the current sum would be AI plus AL plus AR, and if that sum is near to the target, then we are just checking the difference and storing that in the target. If not, then we are moving R and L accordingly. So here, instead of like returning sum, what we can do is, if this happens, then simultaneously decrease R and increase L. Yeah, so this is it. Okay, so sum is equal to all three, and the index, using this index we can define L and R, and while L is less than equal to R, and here this would be colon. So if while L is less than R, just check if we get something nearer to the target. If we get something which is nearer to the target, we mark it as our current answer and we update the difference, else we do this. But there is one thing missing, that is the absolute function. So we can define that function, absolute a int if a less than 0, return minus a, else return a. So this was a pretty easy question, but there is something wrong. Okay, we are not returning anything, so here we return the answer in the end. So this was an easy question based on the previous question that we did, 3 sum, using the two pointers method. So this is similar to that, only instead of target as 0, we can have any target value, and we can try to submit it, and we have a wrong answer. Now input is 0, 2, 1, minus 3, output is minus 1, expected is 0. Okay, so there is something wrong. So we sort this, and answer is equal to num 0 plus 1 plus 2. Difference is absolute of target minus answer, which is the absolute difference. This is the current sum. This is the absolute difference. And if it is less than difference, then update answer and update difference. Okay, so this should be actually opposite. If sum is less than target, we need to increase the sum. We need to go closer to the target. If we decrease the sum, we will go further from the target. So here we need to increase L and we need to decrease R. So yeah, this was a pretty silly mistake, but yeah. So now this is accepted and it works. So yeah, I hope you understood the question, and this was a pretty easy question depending on the last question that we did, 3 sum. So I will just update this. 3 sum closest, which was medium, but quite easy because we already did the question 3 sum. And yeah, so these are the questions we have done till now: 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17. I think I will be doing 2 to 3 more questions and then I can end the series. So yeah, more on that later. So I will see you in the next video. Thank you.